Hey, Composing Gloves here, and today I'm going to show you how I do my editing in Movie Studio Platinum 13 by Sony Vegas. Now, if you have not used this software before, if you're used to your previous one, I'm just going to go over workflow, and we're actually going to edit a thing. I'm going to move kind of quick and just say a bunch of shortcuts like crazy fast, things that I wish people had told me when I first got the software, because it was sort of a transition going from 12 to 13. So first off, when you open it up, you're going to be put in this simple mode, and this simple mode is dumb. Just change to advanced mode. We're going to leave it at that. So it's up here in the corner. You just change it. Now, if you're brand new, you may not know, but you have to, in order to put audio and video into an editor, you must use tracks. And to get tracks, you simply come over here to the right. You probably already have a couple, and they've even been named. You can double click to name them or whatever. And so one is going to be a video track, allowing you to put video down. The other will be able to put audio down on an audio track. And so if you don't have enough audio tracks or whatever, simply right click down at the bottom space here, and you can insert an audio track or video track. That will allow you to put audio or video on it. On an audio track, you're going to have the ability to control the volume and the panning. So does it come out your right speaker or your left speaker? That's what the panning is. And that's pretty much, we're just going to leave it real simple. You just drag stuff on. Now, once you have the tracks that you want, you're going to need to import things. And let's talk about navigation real quick, because I'm navigating around, and some of you are probably doing this, and that's just a terrible way to do things. So what we're going to do is, all you need to do is, if you hold down Control and scroll your mouse wheel, you can move up and down. Very efficient. If you hold down Shift and scroll your mouse wheel, you can move left and right. If you don't hold down anything and scroll your mouse wheel, you zoom in on, this is your edit cursor. So this line. This little guy up here, that's your playback head. They're separate. Check it out. If I put it over here and hit play, it'll begin to play, but I can move my edit cursor around and zoom in on where that is at. And so I'm zooming in, zoom in, and that's pretty much it. So I know I'm not a video expert guru guy. I'm just showing you like the basics of what I do. So I will oftentimes let my video play in the background. I'll be over here editing something. That way I can double check my video while I'm editing, because a lot of times in video, you can tell a lot of stuff just visually. So you don't necessarily need to have your cursor there. If you want to change where your cursor is playing, click on the number line. And it also moves your edit cursor there. So scrolling in and out, controls up and down while scrolling, shift is left and right. I'm going to assume you're now an expert at navigating this thing. Okay, spacebar is play and not play. So I already have some things in here, and I have these lines here. This is called automation. We'll talk about that in a second. So we're going to import the audio. Now, I'm a tutorialist. I record audio tutorials. Someone asked for me to recreate a sound from a song. And so I said, sure, I'll do that sound. And I automatically have my stuff dumped into my screenshot videos. So if I go to my screenshot videos folder, my stuff automatically gets put there. I actually have to, and I record my audio separate from my video. So my computer audio is recorded onto the video that's recording my screen, and my voice is being recorded into another program. Well, it's being recorded into FL Studios. It's what I do my tutorials in usually, currently. And so my voice is separate from my video with my computer audio on it. So if something happens like, oh, my voice is really quiet, but this is really, that's fine, a fine volume level, then I can change it. And, I can do a lot of things in editing to fix it up. I pretty much got it down to a system though, so I don't need to worry. So I'm going to go ahead and import my thing. And all you do is you just grab it. And because my audio track's right below my video, it'll put my audio right there. But if your audio isn't below, then it may put it down here or whatever. You also see these .skf files. They just allow you to load your stuff much faster. It's a file that allows Sony Vegas to reference the data much quicker. Next, I need to grab my voice, which is this guy. And so I'm going to put my voice down there, and there it is. I've already loaded this stuff in here, which is why it loaded so fast. Sometimes this can take a fair amount of time, especially depending on how large your file is. So I record in HD, and I leave it at that. I don't go into the 4K range or anything crazy. It's going to get compressed down anyways. So I have my audio and my video. Now, the thing about this, though, is my audio is not in sync with my video. That's why I record with an oscilloscope down here, so I can sync it up at any point in the video. So normally, I hit my record button in FL a little bit before I hit the record button on my video editor. So I'm actually like somewhere around there. But to get it to where I want it to be, I'm going to zoom in over here. Let's really quick talk about windows. If you don't have these windows open, there's going to be some option up here. Probably the view option will allow you to get these windows. I use the Explorer occasionally, but not very often. So I'll come in here and sometimes navigate to my stuff, but I'm constantly taking things on and out of my computer. So what I did instead is I made a favorites folder. These are the folders I go to a lot. And I just open up a new window explorer and I just go to my favorites folders rather than digging through this explorer. But some people, this could be a really integral part of your experience with this. I don't know, maybe it's important to you, but I went ahead and left it alone. You also have transition and video effects that you can like drag onto your stuff and mess with. I never use those, so I'm not even going to talk about those. So these are the two windows I have on up here all the time. You can also resize stuff. You can take things up and down. I'm so used to things in this configuration though that like it's always like weird to me if things get moved around. So let's go ahead and sync up this audio. Now, you see I have my stuff, and you may be asked at this point, hey, do you want to set the resolution or whatever of your project to the newly imported stuff? I've already got my resolution and things set, but you probably do. So I might click yes, unless you're working with like a video that's a different resolution than the project you want to render it in. So you might have separate resolution settings or whatever. But I keep mine at pretty much the ones I've already set. Now, if you hit Shift up, down, it'll scroll your audio up and down. Well, not scroll, it'll zoom it in and out. So I scroll mine up quite a ways so that I can see all these like middle ground moments that go away if I zoom it in. And I do that because I want to sync it up with this oscilloscope. So I'm going to zoom over here and I am going to hit left and right on my keyboard and get to a point where right around there. And it seems like that piece of audio is happening then. Oh, you see how there's like a blur right here? It has resampled my video. This makes your video look blurry and I hate it. To get rid of it, you just simply right click, go to properties on your video. So you click on your video. You have to do this for all your videos. And you go to disable resample and click OK. And you see now it is much more clear. That's the frame that's happening at that moment in time. There are ways. You have to go through a couple of hoops to do it so it automatically gets rid of resampling on your stuff. In 12, there was an option that you could just click. But in 13, I could not find the option. So I just kind of do that every time. It's not that big of a deal. So as you see, I move over. Now that looks pretty good. Let's check another spot. Let's go over here. And looks pretty okay. One more spot, a little on down the line just to make sure that there's not some weird thing going on. And now I'm not like a stickler for, ooh, this one looks a little interesting. Move this, whoops. I'm grabbing the wrong line. Move it over. There you go. That's more or less there. Okay, I'll make that last nudge. And now I'm not a stickler for being super synced up because I'm just a tutorialist. I don't care if my audio, it just needs to look like I'm saying the words. For some of you, it may be really important though. So if you want to do that, I actually recommend doing that in another software like Pro Tools or something where you have much more control over audio. You can stretch the audio in ways. It's a lot more friendly towards that type of editing. But let's go ahead. And so as you can see, I'm not going to go any more into depth there. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in. And now what I want is I want to link this piece of audio to these tracks so that when I move them around, they're in sync. If they're, because I just spent all that time getting in sync, I don't want them to go out of sync. This is something that the simple mode, I don't believe you can do. I haven't touched the simple mode since I got it though. So anyways, what you do is you hold down Control to select multiple pieces. They highlight yellow. If you hit G, it groups them together. See, now they're grouped. If you hit U, it will ungroup them. And so if you want to like ungroup this and then you hit S to split it. So you hit S and it will split that piece of audio, get rid of the voice, and then you can Control click them and hit G again. Now it's been regrouped and now I don't have my voice right there if that's something I wanted to do. If your audio has been grouped together, whoops, hit Control Z to undo, hit Control Y to redo, and hit G to group again. If your audio, I forgot what I was about to say. Anyways, if you hit S, it'll split your grouped clip. So like if I only had this clip selected, you notice if I click now, if I hit, these are like light blue indicating they've been grouped. And if I hit S, it will actually cut them all. Now this particular tutorial, I already know I don't need to do any editing on. Sometimes I mess up or I stutter and I like to take that stuff out because it's annoying, or sometimes I get a little off on a tangent. So I take that crap out too. But I try my best to just do it in one big fell swoop, like bang. Some people add pictures and stuff, and to do that, all you got to do is you just open up another video track and just drag and drop your picture on there. It's really simple. But for this one, another thing I'll do is if I do something like that, I'll usually zoom up a lot and then I'll be silent for like 5 or 6 seconds That way it's really obvious that there's this spot that's like something's weird there, and I'll go and I'll look at that. That way I give myself cues in the editing, make the editing a little bit easier on myself. But I'm going to hit shift down to zoom back out. And what we're going to do is I already have my logo, my intro video here, and I also have this here intro music. I always play a piece of my track beforehand, and you notice there's this blue line. That blue line is an envelope. And to open up an envelope, you must right click and you can go to insert envelope. I'm more familiar with this being known as an automation clip. But what it basically does is this controls the volume over time. So you see, I've inserted a couple points here that say, hey, the volume be right here. You know, the volume's 0 decibels. Now, if you're not an audio person, just leave it at 0. I mean, it's not as far as movie goes. If you need to boost it, you can boost it. You can also add effects and plugins. If this is over your head, don't worry too much about it. But you see we have this little icon here. This allows you to add effects, and it comes with a suite. I've got a bunch of them because I'm an audio guy, so I actually have third-party stuff I can open. But if you go to Sony, this is the stuff you'll probably have. And you can open up like an EQ, and you add it. You hit add to add an effect. You hit OK, and it will pop up. There's your EQ, and you can go and you can mess with the settings inside your EQs. There's a bunch of little programs in there. I'm not going to delve into that. I do all my stuff. I'm an audio guy, so I have separate software that's like 50 times better at this than I would do in here. But sometimes you do want to do some editing in here, so occasionally I'll find myself reaching for that. Okay, so I have my intro right there, and I've got my video. We need to talk about these tools. So we have a couple tools here, and I've sort of been just using them without telling you what they are. So you see if I scroll here, this is my trim tool. If you hit the D key, you'll get to the envelope tool. This allows you to add points on an envelope. You can also adjust points. So you see that white point is the one I have selected. I'm going to undo that. If you right click on the line with your envelope tool, you can add point. Actually, you don't even need to be on your envelope tool. You can be on any tool. If you right click on that line, you'll get these options. So you can do different shapes, different lines between 2 points. You can get so the most I use is I add a point, and you see how there's a line underneath this P. That means if you hit P, it'll automatically add a point. That's what these lines mean. So they're shortcuts. So I recommend getting used to these. So that means that when this menu's open, if you hit P, it'll add a point. If you hit D, it will delete a point or remove a point. I believe D is delete. So we'll go ahead and do that. So we're going to hit P to add a point. We'll right click it and hit D. Yep, D is delete, even though it's not on there. Some of these I've found out just by trying things, just for fun. Now, if we come in, okay, so that's the points. Again, if you don't know how to get this envelope, just simply right click on the track and just go to insert envelope. And you have one for volume, one for pan. If you don't know what panning is, do you want to send the signal to your left speaker or your right speaker? And that's that. Now, I don't believe if I said this yet. Let me real quick double check. Yeah, I did. So yeah, you just want to make sure you disable the resample. I have a habit of double checking that. If you hit the D key on your keyboard while just anywhere, it will scroll you through your tools, and you see that other things will indicate that. So I'll scroll through my tools all the time. You have a zoom tool that I never use. You have a fade tool that I do use. You see this little corner icon pops up here, and the fade tool is down here, and you can fade stuff in and out. I don't worry about that here because it's already in the video. But at the end, we'll be using the fade tool some. Okay, and I normally hang out on the normal tool, and it also allows me to trim things. There's also the trim tool. It's just the thing it lets me do. So I'm going to scroll my video in there, and you see it automatically creates a crossfade. So, and if you hit Control over, it will put you back at the beginning of your video, which I use quite a bit. I'm going to get rid of this little chunk at the beginning because I don't need it, just to be tidy. And the song's already where I want it, and I can adjust the volume fade. You see, this fade is not as powerful as fade or as exact as this is, so I tend to use an actual volume control fade. And so I'm just going to scroll it up in here, control over, and listen to it. Hey, Composing Gloves here, and today I'm going to be showing. You see, it zooms out, and then I'm in my tutorial. So I already know that it's pretty solid, but oftentimes I'll have it playing, and then I'll be editing over here. So I'll be like this, the actual track. So it sounds like this. So you see, I'll go through, and I will just be working like it can get done really fast. This whole track though, when I recorded it, I didn't have any mistakes, I didn't have anything I was like iffy on. I didn't do anything weird. But again, sometimes I leave moments of silence if I want to do something there. So that's fine. But So oftentimes what I'll go through too is I'll preview parts and then just move my way down the thing until I reach the end. And if everything checks out, then I'm good to go. Occasionally, there's been one time that I accidentally forgot about something and and published the video. I had to go back and fix it. So I'm gonna hit Control S at this moment in time. Now I'm at the end of my video, and I always end with "Have a blessed day" because that's the way your day should be. So if you hit Shift up, I have the audio for days show up, and I'm gonna just scroll that up and go through my tools by hitting D and just fade that over. So I went to my fade tool. Now I'm back to my trim tool, and that's pretty much done. Now I have an outro, and you might be wondering about text. So you see I have composinggloves.com over here, and I also have some audio over here that I'm going to move over. Don't worry if your envelopes extend out past here. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to move this guy over. So this guy's on top of it. And the way things work is if it's on top, it will literally be on top of the video. So you see this is on top. So it's on top of the video. And this is just text. It has my website down at the bottom. Just, putting it down there subconsciously. People will read it and stuff. It's whatever. And what it is you can right click and you can insert text media. And that's what I did. So you right click, insert text media. And right now you can't see it because it's so small. But if I zoom it up a little bit by grabbing this little handle over here, I have these different options. This is the crop tool. It allows me to crop it or change the size of it. Sometimes that's like a whole nother story. I'm just going to let you mess around with the crop tool because it's pretty intuitive. I mean, you just crop things. You just go like that. And you see it took it off. It's cropped it out. So you see composing gloves, it's changing on my screen. You have a couple options like the lock aspect ratio. And so you can do something like that and change. They're just different options for fading. And you can also even animate things with keyframes. I hardly ever deal with this, so we're not going to worry about it. It's just not that important for what I usually want to do. Another thing that I do sometimes though is if you split your audio up and you want to make a part time lapse, like be faster, you can hold down Control and you get this little squiggly line and you can time stretch it so it will now happen in a faster amount of time. And now this will lag behind a little bit just because it takes a lot of processing, I guess, to run the video or whatever. So my computer just doesn't keep up with it. I don't mind it. I generally make my judgments off of single frames, but you can change your qualities here. I always just leave it on best auto though, so it's like whatever. At this point, I'm pretty much done with the editing. What I'd go in is I'd go over here. I'd check just the audio that's right here. And you see there's no audio. And that's because my envelope's down. So I'm going to fix it by right-clicking and adding a point. Or you can hold down Shift and click a point. You can actually draw an envelope like that. And it will get rid of redundant points for you. So there's one point. There's another point. And I don't want my outro audio to be like super loud. But I'll leave this one a little bit louder than usual. Now I upload to YouTube, and because I do, they recently added a thing that allows you. I used to crop videos and put them in the corners. So I'd go in here, I'd hit the crop tool on my video, and then I'd like scale it down to a corner. It would look like this. So here's my video, and I'm like, oh, I want this to be in that corner, and then I'd put an annotation on YouTube over it. Okay, you zoom out. And if you hold down Shift and scroll, you'll zoom out, and you zoom out, and there you have it. You can do that, and if you hit this now, it'll stay in its corner. So you can zoom videos out and put them in corners. And I used to do that, so if people clicked on it, they could go to a new video. They added an in-screen annotation, so now I just leave some blank space, and YouTube will imprint the videos with links that will work on mobile devices as well. So I preferred to do that way. It's like I leave like 15 seconds with a piece of music I wrote. So it's Christmas time at this currently. So I used Far Away on Judea's Plains. I made like a rap sort of beat thing, and that's my outro music. You notice I have a fade, so it fades in, and that's why I rely on the fades. If the fades are very big, they work pretty well. But at the intro, the fades are so fast that I just volume automate it. So here I just I leave my volume automation on. I don't really mess with panning very often. Now for the text, I inserted some text, and again, to do that, you just right-click, Insert Text Media. And if we zoom in here on the text, you have this little media option. If you click it, you get taken here. And so I have my thing here, and what I do is I'll write my stuff, and if you select it, you can individually change pieces of audio. Pieces of the text. So my subscribe is bigger than have a blessed day, even though it's in the same thing. And I leave it in the center. And if you come down here, the other one I go to usually is the outline. And I'll bring my outline up. So you see it's got an orange outline, and you can change your outline color here. You just click and select a color, and I usually bring my faders all the way up. And so that's what I do here. Usually when I'm putting audio on top of a video, so I'll right click, insert text media, and then I'll put like test. And I'm going to select it, put it in the middle, go to outline, and to make it stand out from the background of the video, I'll turn my outline width all the way up, take the outline color, make it black, and now it really pops out. It's very easy to see. And so that's that. And let's say I wanted to fade it out visually or fade it in. I'll go to my fade tool by hitting D and just fade it. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe. And you see, I'm pretty excited at that point in the tutorial. And so that is pretty much it. Next up is rendering. So to render it, so now I'm all done. I'm going to hit Control S to save it. And sometimes I'll come back and re-render for whatever reason. Maybe my judgment call on the voice wasn't solid. See, you can't trust the visual input here because it lags. There's a lag time. So don't trust it. So what I do now, and so I don't do this like all the time, but what I do now is, so you come up here to this make movie. I have mixed feelings about this button being called that, but whatever. I'm used to seeing render. I feel a little more professional, you know, when you're using that. Make movie, and I always go to save it to my hard drive. Just ignore the rest of this stuff. It's a waste. This is just going to be better. Save it to our hard drive and upload it yourself. That way, if there's any issues, you can double check the file before it goes up. It's just better. Save it to my hard drive. Then you go to advanced options. Ignore everything else. And there you have it. You open up your advanced options. Now you have probably a lot of other templates. I have a filter on that shows me the only one I care about. But if you turn them off, you can have all these different ways of uploading stuff. Now I'm uploading to YouTube, and my settings are, if I go to customize template, it'll bring this up. This is what I have going on. My audio is 320 kbs, and it's the Sony tablet, and I just adjusted that one. So I opened up the Sony tablet YouTube one. I think it was just called Sony tablet at the time. But anyways, I adjusted it. I made it so it was like this. Frame weight, 60 frames, la la la. 50 has been a good number for me, so I've left it there. My files are usually like half a gig to a gig big. If they're longer, they might be like a couple gigs. And that's pretty much what I have going on here. And so I keep my filter on. I've saved it and made it my favorite by favoritizing it. And so now it only shows me my favorites, and that's the only one I care about. So by default, it's already there. All I literally have to do is I have to grab the name, which I have right here. I may have misspelled stuff. I don't care about spelling when I name files. I care about it when I get to YouTube. And I'm going to hit Control A and Control V to put my name there. And I hit render, and I'm good to go. And those were just my settings. And so it's pretty solid. The big ones were that 50,000 number on there. So if we go to customize, this number is pretty important to the quality of your video. And if you want to be HD, you better have that. I also have this extra encoding, if available, option enabled, which I know it uses, like, if my computer has extra processing and it's able to do that, it will do that. And my computer can do that. So I'm good. I use that. And that is that. That's how I go through my video editing. This is a little out of my domain. I'm mostly an audio guy, but occasionally I have done videos for people, and there might be a lot more cuts, fade stuff, but that's the gist of using it. So I hit render, and oh, no template selected. Please select a template. So I select my template, hit render. There it goes. Also, one thing I also love to do is I leave this unchecked so that when it's done rendering, I don't have to go find where I saved it to, because I didn't hit browse, but I have a spot that it automatically goes to as a file, as a folder, and then I sort them from there. And I will, if you have this closed when render completes, then it will it'll close. You'll have to go find the file on your computer. It's super annoying. Here you can just double check it, open. You can even open the folder. And if it's like, if something went wrong in the encoding, you can just come in here, change it, and re-render it. So I prefer big time to have this off. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe, support me on Patreon, and have a blessed day.